What's going on, guys? It's Ashford from ASHTAGbricks here, and you may remember, because this video is linked in the description, right around a year ago, I did a video where I took Voltix from Hero Factory's Breakout wave, and I improved him. I kept his core character, I kept all of the identifying elements, and I just improved him and made some changes that I thought would make it an even better model. Well, here we are again. I know, I'm sure you're guessing I probably didn't plan on waiting this long to do this video, but hey, other videos took priority. We're doing, from the same Breakout wave, Surge. My good friend Surge. He was always one of my favorite heroes. He was just a funny guy. Set specs, of course, are in the description, as always, with these types of things. If they're not in there for the improving Voltix video, well, I'll take care of that. Real quick, I just want to do like the last time. Let's talk a little bit about what I think could be improved. First of all, you might have already seen it. If we flip him around, look at that. The sort of calves of Surge, they're pretty well covered, but that's pretty much the only thing. I mean, his upper arms are nice and covered, but I mean, his entire back is just skeletal, and I don't like that. I want to keep him pretty skinny, because I know one of the main changes I made with Voltix was trying to bulk him up a bit. I thought he would be much more intimidating and fit his character much better if he wasn't looking so skinny. Well, Surge, his character really suits him if you keep him skinny, so I don't want to change him much in that regard. But anyway, I do want to cover up the back. I mean, this whole the tube leading into the scanner slash electrical sword type weapon that he's holding, I mean, it's just pretty much directly feeding from his spine, which, I mean, we did see in the cartoons that he can emit electricity, so maybe that is supposed to be canonical, but overall, I want to take that half pin out, still leave it attached to that, and just get his back covered up. I don't quite know what I'm going to do. Maybe add a battery pack. You know, maybe he can emit electricity, but only in small voltages for a short period of time. Of course, you know, I'm going to maybe lengthen these upper leg joints a little bit so that he can have something covering the back of his legs, or at the very least, you know, just swap these around to where they're on the side, so that he's on only the inside of the thighs are uncovered, similar to the lower legs. The hero cuffs, they're kind of dangling a bit. I don't quite know what I want to do with him with those, because of the fact that it's like, I mean, bulk, you know, they were sort of connected right here at the shoulders, and they were like some characters would have, you know, like Marvel characters would have. If they had a chain as a weapon, it would be sort of wrapped around their shoulders, and then they could whip it out and literally, you know, whip it. Did that fit bulk very well, because, you know, he was sort of supposed to be the tank of the group, so having his handcuffs or his hero cuffs wrapped around his shoulders, that made sense. It doesn't for Surge. I don't think he'd be able to get him off. He's a little clumsy like I am, so I mean, it would just not be a good fit. So I want to try and figure out something to do with those. I like that they have the little wrench pieces in his armor, so I kind of want to play off of that, even if it is just, you know, just pick it up, maybe stick another one right here in like this, so where it sort of be just sitting on the armor. That might look nice. I want to try and give this poor boy another hand, you know, because so many of these sets, if they had blasters, you know, they usually only had one hand, because then the connector would just be on the wrist instead of an actual hand. And I mean, I got to the point where, you know, some people thought that was just an ability these robots had, was to just turn their hands into guns. So, you know, I don't quite know if that, I kind of want to play off of his lankiness, you know. Maybe I don't want to make him too much taller, because, you know, he's still supposed to be a little short, but maybe just, you know, make the wrists just a smidge longer, make some of the leg bones just a smidge longer, just to play off his lankiness a bit more. And, you know, outside of that, there's not too much going on with the set. It's a smaller set than Voltix. It's got a little bit less going on, so I don't think we're going to be needing to make too many changes, but I feel like, you know, similar to Voltix, it's going to be the smaller changes, the smaller details that we can change to make the story of this model and just make everything a little bit better. So without further ado, I'm going to grab my organizers, just roll the time lapse. I'm going to get to building so you can see what's going on with him. And hopefully, if you have watched the Voltix video, this one will be better, although I'm an incredible self-deprecator, as you well know, so I may not view it as that. But anyway, without further ado, roll the time lapse. And there we have it, the finished product of this, I guess you could call it a remix. I know from the front, it doesn't look like I've done too much, but like I said, we're trying to keep the core character, we're trying to keep the core personality and structure of the model with this one, and in this case also, not want to do too much to the color scheme. So let me tell you what I've done. Well, first off, if I bring this a little bit closer for you, you can see I added in another one of those robot hands to the bottom part of these green armor pieces. I believe they're number 3. And what that does, you first clip them in, it looks something like this. Okay, that's still a lot better because if you remember, it was dangling at foot level, which is quite dangerous since, you know, you're supposed to be running a lot, you're supposed to be doing a lot of very athletic running things. I completely lost my words there. But as you can see, that makes things a lot better just by folding them up like this. Now, that is a lot more realistic. Another thing that's a lot more realistic is I swapped, I don't remember if it was the blue one. It's been a couple days since that last segment, since the time lapse. So I'm pretty sure the blue one has stayed the same, but I swapped the green one to where it would be connecting to the side. So now if you turn it around, oh, it's looking so much better. Now the other elephant on its back is this battery pack I built. If you remember, I wanted to build a battery pack. I wanted to do just something to cover them up and to add a little bit more realism to the fact, other than just, you know, all of the power for this whole skin or energy sword or electricity sword thing was just attached straight to his back, which didn't make sense. So I just grabbed one of the old multi-tool ice shield elements, and if I bring it in, you can kind of see what I've done. You can see it even better from the top, is I've just taken 2 friction pins and put them to the pinhole of one of those adapters that I love so much, that just all it does is just you connect it to the back of the torso or back of any of the bone pieces, and it just gives you another ball joint that you can attach stuff with. Normally you connect it right over, this is a really good way to see exactly what I did. And normally I put them over the original ball joint to have everything in line, but that made things just look way too heavy. It looked like it would be just pulling down on, you know, even though he's a robot, I'm just still thinking in human terms. It doesn't look right, because if you think about that, this would be a lot of weight just put directly on the back of your hips. And so I moved it up to shoulder area, and it just looks really good. So I also, while I was in my minifig organizers, got 2 trans light blue lightsaber blades and just stuck them in there as kind of a visual representation of the electricity and energy stored in there. Another big thing you might notice I did was I added this green hose, and that's part of why I didn't record the next segment right away. It's because I kind of wanted to live with it for a few days, look at it with a couple fresh sets of eyes, every now and then, and just see if I actually like this. Because for one thing is it doesn't match, I didn't have another blue one, but I didn't know if I wanted a blue one or what, because it didn't match the energy setup I had for the battery pack. And so, but it did match the little ammo ball. And so I was quite undecided for that, but I really do like it, because if you look at it from the front, this one, the green hose connects comes up to the top of the shooter, to the top of the gun, because that was the only place there was really a connection for. And of course, this one goes to the underneath of to the under part of his fist to kind of, play into the illusion, just like the original one, that there was a handle there, and that this was just all one connection instead of this being its own separate mold, or a couple of molds, I guess, fused together, and then the hose being something else just sort of sitting in the hand. And so it kind of gives you this really vibrant, I don't know what it's reminding me of. It almost looks like something from Ninjago, but it really looks like just a very fluid model, which is very interesting, because the Surge has nothing to do with water, but this is really what it looks like, because it almost looks like, if you're looking at it from the front, it almost looks like one continuous line going from the gun all the way over to the electricity sword / scanner thing. And so I kind of like the look of it. Let me know, of course, at the personal channel what you think of the green hose, if it should stay or not. But I mean, it kind of worked out perfectly, because as you can see, there's 2 of those little Minifig connections on the front. Also, I realized I totally forgot to really go into, sort of finish up about the battery pack. From there, I just attached to the ball joint one of those adapters, which is kind of what they use in place of hands. This is what he had right here. Oh yeah, I gave him a second hand, because 2 hands are better than 1. And then I just slotted that into the axle of the multi-tool eye shield, since it was all the same color. And I mean, I know it looks like it's something really heavy duty or really big compared to the rest of him, which is just really slender. But I kind of picture it as, if you look at Egon from Ghostbusters, he was a pretty skinny dude as well, but all 4 of them pretty much were, but they had these huge battery packs on just strapped to them to oh gosh, I forgot the in-universe name for it, but the huge battery packs allowing them to, really capture the ghosts. And so that's kind of what I picture. Also, one unintentional thing that I do kind of like is the fact that you can kind of wiggle this back and forth. I like to keep it straight if I can, but it does kind of, add for a little extra range of motion, both posability wise and, allowing him to do overall just more with his arms, because you can just sort of lean it one way or another. These armor attachments do kind of get stuck at times. That is behind the multi-tool eye shield, so that is one thing I've been trying to watch out for when posting him. But yeah, as I showed a second ago, oh, there you go. Apparently it gets stuck behind his chest plate too. But these have, except for oh gosh, I'm kind of working against myself right now, but except for, as long as you make sure about the armor attachments, his arms pretty much have full range of motion. So as you can see, he can, okay, we're setting that aside. Why is it whenever I do a CCBS video, something always seems to come apart? But yeah, nearly full range of motion. Again, you're going to want to be careful about that. Like I said, I did give him another hand because I found a green hand, and I didn't want to forget about that. The other thing is, while we're looking at the bones, I didn't mess with the length of his legs. You might have seen me, take things apart a couple times. That's because, for one thing, it seemed like the second I stopped rolling for the actual brainstorming session and started rolling for the time lapse, I completely forgot everything I said and then forgot to rewatch the footage. And so I was going, oh yeah, I meant to do that adjustment to the bones. Oh yeah, I meant to do that. But the other thing was, and this is actually more important design-wise, I was playing around with the length of the leg bones. Let's take these off and you can really see what I'm talking about. So these are pretty much the default, right? These are the default ones that came with Surge. And I started messing around both with the upper and lower leg ones. I didn't have too many more of one. I don't quite remember which it was. And so I kind of kept trying to swap them out, see which I liked better of the different lengths. And the fact is, it all looked wonky. Whenever I tried to lengthen the legs, it all looked wonky. And so I would put the armor on, try and posing them around. And for one thing, I don't know what it was, but he was just being more top heavy. And overall, his legs kept looking weird. And so with the arms, I didn't want to mess with the color too much, like I've said. But also, it was sort of a similar story. And so what I finally decided on, and you know what? This was going to come off anyway. If I take this one back off, always happens with CCBS videos, really. You can kind of compare the arm and the leg and this, of how this is the default of it's just the connections and the ball joint for the armor. And this is the exact same thing, except for one pinhole has been added, so it's just that tiny bit longer. And in the grand scheme of things, you don't really notice it that much. And so it is very subtle. But if you took it out on both arms, and if I were to go try and replace it, or if you went and rewatched the footage for the original version of this model, you would see that there's just that little bit of a difference. It does mean that, you know, things are just a tiny bit further away from him. You can kind of look at things a little bit better, but it does give it that kind of effect of the tall, lanky, clumsy dude, which what I feel before, you know, Invasion from Below, which I'll probably do a video about that in the future, before they really changed everyone, what he was kind of supposed to be like, particularly during Breakout. And it kind of plays into the effect of, since he was supposed to be in an asteroid field with very low gravity, it kind of plays into that of if you're trying to pose him, his arms kind of play into that. And I don't know, it's just still very poseable, and I quite like it. I did consider putting in some friction adders for the legs just to see if that would help any. A, I couldn't find any. B, I don't know, I kept coming back to the original legs every time. I've already got the thumbnail, so because I knew with me fiddling around with this while recording, it was going to completely mess up the pose, which I was correct. Oh no, I've made dabbing Surge. Okay, we need to wrap the video now. I think I've achieved just about everything I set out to do with this one. I mean, he's still got his hero core, still got the printout, and that was another thing, you know. I felt like he would be too bulky if I put on any extra armor add-ons like I did with Surge to his chest plate. I am really getting flashbacks to the first two videos of this channel. But anyway, with all that said and done, I think now's the time for you to be the judge. Again, if you want to leave a comment, because of everything with COPPA that's been going on, I'm going to link you to the personal channel where you can just click on any old video. Maybe let me know, you know, hey, referencing the Improving Surge video. Just, it doesn't really matter, but I don't want to get mixed up, so I can, you know, accurately respond and everything. So just let me know what you're talking about. Give a reference to the video you're saying. And yeah, what do you think? Do you think these are improvements, or do you think I've made it worse? Or just about the same? I mean, I know they're very subtle, and hey, maybe you can, you know, do your own thing with it. And I give up. Maybe you can do your own thing with this. And You know, if you have the set, take out some other CCBS parts and see what you think could be improved. I've still got more videos planned. Again, I'm still getting stuff together for the Geek Hotspot channel update because things are going to be changing for the better. Not entirely, still keeping video essays, but things are going to be changing a little with that. And so yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure and leave a like on it, as it really helps out the channel. Of course, just thank you to everyone who has subscribed, and if you really enjoyed this video and you haven't already, maybe consider pressing that red subscribe button, as it just, yeah, there might be another improving Hero Factory video in the future. I don't know, but there's going to be more videos like the ones you can see if you go to the channel and, you know, just scroll through the catalog. And I mean, ASHTAGbricks has just evolved so much in the last couple of years that I can't promise that there won't be new content. So if any of that interests you, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Check out Geek Hotspot if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video.